Hi guys, welcome to Hair Dry Treatment with me, Soph. I am buzzing to announce that this is going to be a weekly show for me, Sophie's Roundup, where basically I talk about the weekend's football and what has happened in the games over the weekend. So obviously episode 1, the season has started and I am so happy that the season is back underway. As a United fan, of course, I've got a massive smile on my face because I was not expecting the start that we had, but we'll get more onto that into this show. So I've said this for all football fans, and it is because I'm going to talk about all of the main events what have happened over the weekend for various teams, not just Manchester United. But of course, the key game that I'm going to be talking about is United against Chelsea because 4-0 was a shocking result. I was not expecting it, especially after that first half. I must admit we were so lucky. We definitely rode our luck. Obviously, we could have easily conceded 3, which is why I'm not getting too blown away by it. But we were clinical in front of goal. We attacked at pace. The counter-attacks leading up to the goals were absolutely fantastic. James scores on his debut, and I still cannot get over his celebration. It really touched me, and I know it touched many United fans as well. So yeah, many positives, but at the same time we need to stay grounded because we could have conceded quite easily. I'm going to start with some other teams. So I'm going to start firstly with the game that was on Friday night, the first game of the season. Now, a lot of you guys in the chat I know will be United fans, and like me, you'd have watched that game praying that obviously Norwich get something at Anfield, and that didn't happen, sadly. But we'll talk a bit about the Liverpool-Norwich game. So Liverpool obviously smashed them, yes, of course. Salah scored, Van Dijk got on the score sheet as well, and I know there's a lot about Van Dijk at the moment and Maguire and a lot of people comparing them. They're both class defenders. Van Dijk for me is easily one of the best defenders in the world, and I'll continue to say that. He obviously bagged a goal, an easy goal at that, against Norwich. Norwich didn't really help themselves. I like the fact that they went there and they tried to attack and they looked dangerous going forwards, which fills me with hope because I don't think Liverpool at the back looked the best. I think they were a bit shaky. Gomez obviously was back in there for Liverpool, and I do think that they did look a bit shaky at the back. And like I say, Norwich could have easily scored more goals. If they would have taken their early chances, I definitely believe that scoreline could have been a bit different. But Norwich didn't really help their own situation. They kept attacking, which obviously opened themselves up when Liverpool broke on them, and Liverpool at the end of the day the better team did win. But like I say, Norwich did create chances, and if they would have taken them it could have been a different story. I will say that I think it's Pukki who plays it for Norwich. I think his movement was very clever. He obviously did get 1 goal, he could have had more, but he's very clever, and I do think he will get some goals this season for them. He looks like a decent player. So Pukki, I think his name is, who plays up front for Norwich, he was one positive for me. I think he does look a threat. His movement was clever, he got him behind many times, and like I say, he did get 1 goal, he can finish. Let's see what a few people are saying in the chat. Norwich are rubbish, was one comment there. They're rubbish, but like I say, they weren't the most disciplined. They didn't help themselves at Anfield, definitely. They'll concede many goals, but at the same time, I'm sure they'll score many as well. I saw a lot of people straight away saying, oh, Norwich are going to get relegated. Might as well send them down now. But I didn't see the same kind of reaction when West Ham got battered 5-0 by City the next day. It was a lot quieter on that front. So it's an interesting one. But we'll move on to that game anyway. West Ham obviously 0. Man City got 5. Man City, is it their year again this season? Is it just going to be another 2-horse race between obviously Liverpool and City, or do we think that more teams are going to be threatening for the title this season? They both made an absolutely amazing start, let's face it. But what do you reckon? I mean, Raheem Sterling I'm going to touch on right now because for me, I think he's just excelling. He's getting better and better. His finish, I think it was his 2nd goal where he lofted it over the keeper. I thought it was a fantastic finish. His movement in behind, he always looks a threat, and for me, he's excelling and he's getting better and better. So I'm going to touch on Raheem Sterling and just say that I think he is world class. His movement, his quality, and his finishing has definitely improved as well. But do we believe that it's going to be a 2-horse race? And I want you to get in the chat and let me know what you guys think. Do we think it's going to be between City and Liverpool, or do we think Spurs have got a chance this season? I've seen people saying United are in with a chance. I don't believe that for a second. But what do you guys reckon? Do you think that there's more teams who are going to be competing this season, or are those two still way ahead? United Lionesses TV says, I think Spurs will be closer to the top 2 this season, but ultimately the title will be going to City again. If it's going to be a 2-horse race, for a fact I'll be hoping that it goes to City and not to Liverpool. But at the same time, I would love it to be more competition. I don't want it to turn into like another, the Liga you could say, where it's just the same old teams getting it, or the French League you could say, where it's the same team who's winning the title. That's probably more accurate. I don't want it to be like that, where it's just the same teams winning the title. The Premier League is the most entertaining league in the world, and I'm hoping that last season it was entertaining, it went to the wire, but I'm just hoping that more teams can compete for the title this season. Let's see what people are saying. Man City B team will win the league, obviously referring to Jose's comments there. Maguire will be United captain by next season. What do you reckon, says Michael? Harry Maguire, I'm going to talk about the United game more so in a minute, but Harry Maguire, he was impeccable on his debut, looked fantastic. A lot of people saying, how can you say he was brilliant with Lindelof when Chelsea hit the post and hit the bar and whatnot, and obviously they could have scored. And I agree, yes, Chelsea did have some chances. But for me, it was because the midfield vanished in that game. The midfield went absolute. I don't know where the midfield went. I think they went for a picnic or something. Because that first half, McTominay was the only real midfielder we had in there. The other two were just missing. Second half, I think we looked much better. Second half, obviously, we played more of a different game where we were nicking the ball and breaking on the counter attack, which is how we got most of our goals. So I think it was very different. But I think Maguire, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka all looked absolutely fantastic. Luke Shaw, I still think there's some question marks over him, and like I say, I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, definitely. Burnley, obviously winning at Burnley against Southampton, should I say. A 3-0 win. Ashley Barnes got 2 as well. And I remember commenting on Ashley Barnes last season saying he's one of those players who I just cannot stand. But you know what? He scores goals, and I imagine him to be an absolute nightmare to play against. Barnes will get goals again this season, no doubt. Burnley, you all know my opinions. I always say they're a bit of a stopper team. They just play for a draw, and they frustrate the hell out of me. They're one of the most boring teams. But I must say, against Southampton the other day, they played absolutely fantastic. They were brilliant. Barnes, obviously, like I've just said, have scored goals, and he will continue to score goals throughout the season because he's an absolute nightmare to play against. And I think, you know what, that is a big win for Burnley. Very impressive. And like I say, it surprised me. I wasn't expecting it. I think on my prediction, I think I put a draw between Burnley and Southampton. I wasn't expecting many goals in that game. So to see their 3-0 win, it blew me away a little bit. And a fantastic start to them, definitely. A fantastic start to the season for them. The next one, bit of a boring one, so I'm just going to briefly gloss over this one. But Crystal Palace against Everton, 0-0. Zaha came back onto the pitch, obviously, after all the rumours surrounding his future and stuff like that. Zaha had minutes on the pitch. He had a really positive reception from the Palace fans as well, which I know Roy Hodgson thanked the fans for after the game. But for me, I think it was a game where basically both teams kind of cancelled each other out. I watched a bit of the game. It was a bit of a boring one. Moise Keane did get on for a little bit, but he rarely touched the ball because I think he was on for a few minutes and then Schneiderlin got sent off. So it was a bit of a game where both teams really cancelled each other out. We didn't really see much of the new signings for Everton. They didn't really excel much. And yeah, it was a bit of a boring one. I think 0-0 was a fair reflection in that game. I don't think either team did enough to win it. I'm expecting a better season from Everton this season. They've made some fantastic signings. We've already said that their squad is looking fantastic, and we, as United fans, we're worried about them over our shoulder as well as Wolves as well. But that first game for me I wasn't really impressed, but I know you have to give players time to settle in and stuff like that. You don't judge new signings on that first game, definitely. And we will see more so into the season. I'm expecting big things from them this season. Mr. Easy in the chat. Hi, Mr. E. I hope you're good. Newcastle are quite disappointing with all the signings. Newcastle and Arsenal I'll touch on in a minute as well. I did watch that game as well. For me, it was a very, very boring game. But I think, if I'm honest, the new signing, he used to wear a Gucci headband, I can't quite think of his name, El Maximin or something like that. He came on the pitch and he gave Newcastle a different dimension. Joe Linton obviously started up front for them as well. He's their record signing, 40 million. And I think he actually does look like a decent player. He's obviously a target man, a hold-up player. He's traditional 9 if you want to think of it that way. And I think his hold-up play was impressive. First touch was good. I think he had one decent chance, maybe a little glancing header as well. So he didn't have much to go on. But I do think that he looked physical up top. He'll suit the Premier League. It's just more a case of his finishing. Is he going to be able to put goals away? Because obviously Rondon was the player that they're trying to replace, and it does seem a similar kind of player to Rondon in terms of his physicality. But St. Maximin, or whatever his name is, I think it's St. Maximin, yeah, it's just been confirmed in the chat. He's skillful. He's obviously very, very quick. He just needs to get a bit of composure. He still needs to settle into the league at the end of the day. I think he had about half hour the other day in that game. But when he came on, I did feel that he offered him something a little bit different. And I think he's going to be one to look out for this season, definitely. So for your ultimate teams, look out for St. Maximin because he might be a one to watch this season, definitely. Thank you so much for the super chat. A random question, but thank you so much for the super chat. And CPFC vlog says, do you like bench castles? Yeah, I don't mind them, but Lukaku's gone to Inter Milan now, so I'm not really willing to talk about them that much. But yeah, I don't mind them. Random question, but thank you so much for the donation. It does mean a lot, definitely. Steve Buckley's made a bold statement here. He says, only Villa will stay up this season. Now, Villa, for me, I was having a chat among friends recently, and I was saying that Villa have spent a lot of money, but there's a lot of players there who have to settle into the league and stuff. And I don't know if that is too many changes. However, against Spurs the other day, obviously, first half, McGinn is an absolute baller. He's a quality player. He obviously scored very, very early on, gave a bit of confidence, and I do think that, again, they look threatening going forwards, and if they could have put away more of the chances, it would have been a different outcome in that game, definitely. Second half, though, no doubt about it, Spurs came out of the blocks. Spurs dominated the second half. They were banging on the door for the majority. They looked like they were going to score. And once they did score, I genuinely think that there was no coming back for Villa. I think they looked tired. Grealish was a player who, and he still is a player that I'm intrigued by this season, because in the Championship you get a lot more time on the ball. And I've said this many times. I was asked about Grealish to United, what I thought about that, and I said that when he's got time on the ball, he's absolutely fantastic, because obviously he's got the vision. He's definitely very, very technical, a very skillful player, an intelligent player. However, when he's got time on the ball, when he hasn't, like against Spurs, for example, he was at fault for the second goal. He lost the ball on the edge of the box, and I do think that's going to be a situation that will happen throughout this season with Jack Grealish. I think he's a quality player, and he's definitely a leader for Aston Villa, but I do think he'll get caught out because he likes a bit too much time on the ball, and that is the one thing that I'm a bit concerned about. In terms of Villa staying up, I need to see a bit more of them. I do think they look threatening going forwards, and I think Tyrone Mings at the back, he looks absolutely solid, as he did last season in the Championship as well. But I'm interested to see how they're going to pan out. I must say, as a Villa fan, you would be quite confident after seeing how they played against Spurs, because that first half we definitely saw enough, especially from the new signings. Trezeguet, I think, on the wing looked absolutely fantastic as well in that first half. But I need to see a bit more of them before I judge them just yet. Brighton is a team that I predicted would go down this season. After seeing them last season, Brighton was a team that I thought, you know what, they're going to go down this season, because I thought they looked decent. They didn't really look like... I know Glenn Murray can obviously bag a goal or two, but other than that, really, you struggled to see where the goals were going to come from. They've started this season playing away at Watford, a tough place to go, and obviously winning 3-0. And I was blown away by that. I was thinking 3-0 at Watford, what a result that is. And not only that, obviously the new signing comes on and bags as well. And you've also got the player Andone, I believe, the centre forward, who I think he was on for like 4 minutes. One of his first touch practically he scored with. And last season, towards the end, he looked absolutely fantastic. So again, I genuinely thought Brighton would be one of the teams that go down. But against Watford, they impressed me the other day. So I might have to actually backtrack on that one a little bit, and maybe that will not happen. But a good start, nevertheless, for Brighton. I've just touched on, obviously, Tottenham and what happened there. So I'm going to go to the big game now, and I'm going to talk about Man United against Chelsea. So, of course, big win for United at Old Trafford. But although the scoreline was obviously 4-0, for me it wasn't a 4-0 game, and I'm going to stay grounded on that one. I genuinely think that Maguire looked absolutely fantastic at the back. I thought Wan-Bissaka was unbelievable on the right-hand side, as he has been all pre-season, and I thought he was fantastic again at the weekend. It gives us a dimension to the right-hand side. What I will say, when the ball goes out to the left of Luke Shaw for me, ever since his injury, and this is a slight criticism, but obviously fair play to him getting back after his injury. Like, it's taken a lot for Luke Shaw to get back to that. But I still feel like he plays it safe far too often for my liking. There's times where he can literally drive forward, drive into the box, and he doesn't. He seems to hesitate and play the safe pass all the time, and that's one thing that frustrates me with Luke Shaw. And I know I'm not the only one who says that. I know I'm not the only one who feels that, and I have been defending Luke Shaw quite a lot. I do defend Luke Shaw quite a lot, because you see the potential there. You know for a fact that if he wants to, he can do it. But for me, I don't know if it's mentally or whatever it is, since that injury, he seems a bit hesitant to actually drive and try and beat a man, to drive past the player and put a ball in the box. He always, for me, turns back and plays that short little inside pass. And it's very predictable. I think if we can get that left side bombing forwards as much as we can, the right with Wan-Bissaka, I think there's goals in that side, definitely, because we were clinical in front of goal, and I've said all pre-season that if Lukaku goes, I struggle to see where the goals are going to come from. I was hoping that Martial would get the 9 and he'd play centrally, because I think that's where we'll get the best out of him. But at the same time, Martial, we've commented many times on him flitting in and out of games, drifting, not really being bothered. His attitude doesn't seem right. He's not the type to press. If he can get that out of his game, and to be fair, he was decent against Chelsea, but we need him consistently this season. And of course, with the help of Rashford, James coming on as well, Greenwood, then of course we can get a lot more goals. And CPFC, I can see you keep spamming me and stuff like that. I'm not going to DM you. I'm here to talk about football, but I do appreciate your support. Of course I do, and I appreciate the super chat as well. It means a lot, so thank you very much. But don't need to keep spamming me at all. Delot at left back or a new signing, says David Charlton. Delot, for me, I think, is a very, very good player, and he definitely going forward he offers a lot more than Luke Shaw. Defensively, obviously, we still need to judge that. Does he switch off a little bit at the back? He's still very young at the end of the day, but I agree. Going forward, he definitely adds a different dimension to us. He does the odd step over, he beats a man. He can definitely cross the ball as well. His first intention whenever he gets the ball is to whip the ball in, isn't it? And that's what I like about Delot. And I'm hoping that we do see a lot more of him this season. I think Europa League may be where we see a lot more of Delot. But we shall see, definitely. Jack says, I do not blame Luke Shaw for being conservative. He admitted he nearly lost a leg due to that injury. Exactly, Jack. That's what I mean. I'm criticising, but I'm not, if that makes sense. I'm just pointing out what I see. However, at the same time, I think fair play to Luke Shaw for getting back from the injury that he had. It must take a lot to do that, definitely. Shane says, so what midfield would you play against Wolves? It's a good question because last season I went obviously to every Wolves game that last season, sadly, and we got absolutely annihilated in the midfield because their midfield is fantastic. Moutinho, Neves, Dendoncker, all really good footballers, all physical, and they had a system in the middle where they knew their jobs, they knew what they were doing. For me, if we're relying on Pogba defensively, we'll get caught out again against Wolves because we can't do that. And that's not disrespect to Pogba. That's just not his game. It's not a defensive player. He's more attack-minded, isn't he? So I think that we need to be really careful what we do. Are we going to play the same midfield as we played the other day? Because we were very open in that first half. Second half, I think we looked a lot better. First half, though, I thought we were atrocious in the middle. And I thought that's why Chelsea had a lot of chances because Rashford wasn't tracking, obviously, Azpilicueta. I know he was told not to, but he wasn't tracking Azpilicueta. They had an overload. And then, of course, we were so open in the middle, which meant that the defence just had players flooding towards them. So you can kind of see where the gaps came from. And it was from the midfield. There was only really McTominay who was a fixed point in there. Other than that, we were too open. So if we're going to play that open, Wolves will tear us apart again in the middle. So we need to be more compact, definitely. And I heard Jose talking about it. He's saying it's the basic concept of the game. When you haven't got the ball, you compact. When you have got it, obviously you disperse and you expand. We need to be more compact in the middle, otherwise Wolves will find the gaps because they're fantastic in the middle, but they've also got the likes of Jota and Jimenez, who obviously ran ragged against us last season, and we need to be really careful against them. Won't Wolves play compact in defence? How can we break them down if we can't play counters like we did against Chelsea? It's a good question, Big Z, because I remember at the Molineux last season we did a lot of passing side to side, side to side, side to side, and it was boring. But at the same time, Wolves were finding it so easy. They were just sliding along, and it was kind of like the reverse of what we did against Chelsea. Wolves got the ball, and obviously they broke. I remember Jota face planted Luke Shaw on one of their counter attacks and scored. And I just think it's going to be a really intriguing one because Wolves will play a similar tactic to what we did against Chelsea, where they will expect us to give the ball away at some point, and then they need to break on us. So I think we might need to go with a different system. But obviously this is down to Ollie, but whatever we tried last season didn't work there. We have got more pace now in our lineup though. And we have got, hopefully, if we're going to play the likes of Martial centrally, we'll have hopefully more movement than we did with Lukaku there as well. I'm a Palace fan and we have you in 2 weeks. How do you think the game is going to go? Says CPFC Vlogs. Again, thank you so much for the donation. I think the Palace game is going to be a tricky one. Obviously, being at Old Trafford, I think I actually have. I know it might be false confidence, but after the Chelsea game, I do think if you sort out what happened in the first half, we get more compact in the middle. I genuinely think that the pace that we've got going forward is frightening. As long as we remain consistent in front of goal, I think we'll create the chances. I think we'll beat Palace at Old Trafford. I think the reverse fixture away at Palace might be the more difficult one because obviously it's a very, very lively atmosphere there at Palace. And I think that'll be the more tricky game out of the two. I'm expecting us fully to beat Palace at home though, definitely. Michael says Old Trafford is full of tourists who do not sing. People have been saying that for years, Michael. People have been saying it for years. You could hear a lot of Chelsea fans when you're watching it on TV as well, definitely. Matic is risky. Matic is just too slow. For me, I wouldn't play Matic. I think McTominay now is an upgrade on Matic. McTominay should be the guy who's in that holding position. The only thing I would say is that maybe Fred could be one that we turn to. Fred scored obviously at Old Trafford, didn't he? He scored and I'm pretty sure he hit the bar or the post as well, and he was our best player, and then Jose took him off at half-time or just after half-time, and he was our best player, so it might be that we turn to Fred and give him a bit more game time, because Fred, for me, I'm still very undecided. I think he's erratic. I don't think he looks after the ball well enough in the middle. However, when you see the game against PSG away last season, he was fantastic, and it gives you that glimmer of hope that he has got it. He just needs more game time, obviously. Gaz says our midfield is a disgrace. It's not the best. It's not the best, is it? And one guy I want to touch on, and it feels right to touch on this as well. Dan James, obviously, he comes on his debut. He scores, yes, a lucky deflection, but it just shows the pace that he showed to catch up with Pogba one in that counter-attack was fantastic. But his celebration after he scored, I must admit, it choked me a little bit. It was fantastic. And they do call it the theatre of dreams for a reason, but the amount of rival fans as well who've been bigging up Dan James and saying fantastic for him to score in his debut. Obviously, it meant a lot to him with what's happened in the summer regarding his dad. And I thought, you know what, what a way to top off that performance with Dan James coming on and scoring. I was close to crying, I must admit. I absolutely loved it. I want a James top now after that, definitely. But I think, is James going to be a super sub this season? So when teams are tired, a bit like against Chelsea the other day, you bring him on because, let's face it, he's absolutely rapid. Is he going to be the guy that you bring on then to just run at the defence, to just tire them out, and obviously to use his pace on the counter-attack? If the game's already won a bit like the other day as well, obviously we will sit in and hopefully nick the ball and then we can break the way that we did the other day. I think that'll be a useful tactic for us this season with Dan James in the team, because his pace is frightening. It's absolutely frightening. Let's see. Mr. Herb says, hi Sophie, you're looking forward to Wolves at the weekend. I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it. Definitely not looking forward to it. However, obviously, it's a big game, in my household for me. Luckily, I'm away on Monday, so I'm not going to the game, so I can't be terrorised as bad as last season. But I will obviously be watching the game as well. And don't worry, this weekend I'll be getting a preview up with my dad as well. He's looking forward to doing it already. My dad's already given it the big one, so we'll definitely get that sorted. And that's the last game that I'm going to talk about, actually. My dad was furious this weekend because, obviously, VAR cancelled Wolves' goal. Dendoncker scored, and if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. Basically, Dendoncker, I think he won the header. He hit Bolly kind of on the head and the shoulder, rolled down his arm a little bit, and it fell back to Dendoncker, and then he scored, and VAR ruled it out for handball. And my dad was absolutely livid. What can you do realistically with Bolly's arm in that situation? But when you look at the rules of the day, it's handball, and obviously that's the way it happens. It's handball, and according to the laws now, if it's handball, the goal should be ruled out. But my point on this one, and I said it about the offsides as well, by the laws of handball, yes, the goal should be disallowed. However, what can Bolly realistically do in that situation? And if that was the other way around, would they give a penalty for that handball? I'm not so sure they would. And I'm pretty sure there was something linked with, is it Billy Sharp's goal at Sheffield United? I haven't spoken about that game yet, but there was something linked to it where I think his goal hit someone's arm in the build-up or something like that, and then obviously his goal stood. So there's still inconsistencies there. VAR didn't rule that one out, but then it obviously ruled out the Wolves goal. And my dad was livid about that. He was saying, obviously, it's not right and stuff like that, but in the laws of the game, it is right. And you can see why people are disheartened. Nuno, I know, was going mad after the game about it, and he was saying how it wasn't right because there's 2 minutes wait between that. I remember when we were having to wait 5 minutes or maybe even longer than that. The Women's World Cup at the time, it was an absolute shambles, VAR. So it is getting better the way that it's being used. Definitely, it is getting a lot better. However, I can see why people are frustrated. And with offsides, for example, Raheem Sterling, where it was Ian White was going mad. He was it's a millimetre? And how is Sterling getting an advantage there? It used to be obviously the advantage would go to the attacker. That has completely gone now. It's literally black or white. You're offside or you're not offside. But how do you know where someone's arm ends and where the shoulder starts? And there's a lot of, obviously, uncertainties about it. It's very generic, but that's the way that it is now. And there's going to be a lot of debates like this. There's going to be a lot of goals that are going to be ruled out, or a lot of decisions that are made that is absolute. It's hard. It's hard to deal with, but at the same time, we are going to be arguing about this all season. It's something that we've got to get used to, of course. But in my honest opinion, I do not like it. I hate the fact that if you score a goal, you can't celebrate really right away because you've got to wait for that VAR check to be confirmed first before you can actually know if it's a goal or not. Imagine if you're scoring in a cup final and you can't go and celebrate straight away because you've got to wait. You've got to wait for that confirmation. It takes that atmosphere away from a little bit for me as well. And I know it's more a case of the rules rather than entertainment, but as a football fan, that's the kind of stuff that you cherish. And that, for me, that's gone out the window a little bit now with VAR. I know ultimately you're probably getting to the right decision, but I kind of like the bit of debating that we had after games when there was a decision that probably wasn't right. Or some people would say it was, and some people would say it wasn't. Now it's very black and white, and that I don't really like that much. But it's a matter of opinion, and like I say, at the end of the day, it's getting to the right decision. It's just a long way of doing it. Right, so the game's next week. I'm going to obviously go through all the fixtures and see what you guys reckon about it. So the first one, Arsenal against Burnley. I'll give my predictions for each one. So Arsenal against Burnley. I think Arsenal will get the win at this one. I'm going to say 2-0 to Arsenal. Nicolas Pepe, obviously only featured a little bit the other day, so we'll see what's going to happen regarding him. I haven't seen enough of him to judge him just yet, but I'm going to go with an Arsenal win. So feel free to join in with the predictions and get your comments in on the chat. But 2-0 prediction is my one for that one. Aston Villa against Bournemouth. Villa at Villa Park for the first time in the Premier League. I saw enough from Villa to think that they're going to get a win in this one. Obviously, Bournemouth got battered the other day as well. So, well, not battered. It was 1-1, but Sheffield United, I believe, were the better team. So, yeah, I'm going to say Villa 2-1 against Bournemouth. I think Villa are going to win. Brighton against West Ham. Tough one, because Brighton, like I said, they were one team that I was expecting to go down. They got a 3-0 win. West Ham got absolutely annihilated at City. This is a tough one. Brighton against West Ham. What are you guys saying about this one? West Ham are going to bounce back, says Michael. 2-2. Yeah, I might play it safe and go with a draw as well. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw for that one. Everton against Watford. Both teams were not impressive at all first game of the season, but Everton, like I say, have made some really, really good signings. I'm expecting at some point them to gel. So I'm going to say Everton, 2-1 Everton. 2-1 Everton. Norwich against Newcastle. Again, this is a tough one. I'm going to go for Team St Maximin because he wears a Gucci headband. I'm going to go with a 1-0 Newcastle win. Even though Norwich, to be fair, did look like they can score goals. Did look like it. I'm going to go 1-0 Newcastle. Southampton against Liverpool. 3-0 Southampton. No. Southampton, obviously, the other day were very poor. I'm going to say 2-0 Newcastle on that one. Of course, I hope that is the reverse and Southampton get a win, but 2-0 Newcastle. Man City against Spurs, the big one on Saturday evening. The big one. I'm going to go for a City win. I know we call Spurs the bottle jobs, and I think City are going to win, and I'm going to say 3-1 Man City win. 3-1. Sheffield United against Palace on Sunday. Again, Palace were not the best, but Zaha did feature. I'm expecting Zaha to maybe get the start, and I think he is so influential for them. I'm going to go for a Palace win, so I'm going to say 1-0 to Palace. Chelsea against Leicester. Leicester 0-0 against Wolves. Obviously, the VAR decision, but I do believe that Leicester were the better team in that game. They created the most chances. Again, a decent squad. Chelsea aren't looking the best, but because it's at Stamford Bridge, I'm going to go with a Chelsea 1-0 win. I think it's going to be a tight game. Chelsea might just about scrape it. And then the last one, obviously, Monday Night Football. The big one, Wolves against United. This one's so hard for me to predict, this one. But Wolves against United at Molineux. I'm going to go for the away win, United. And I'm going to say 2-1 United win. There's my predictions. You've heard them all here. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. I can see a lot of people coming in. 5-0 United. Come on. Let's be realistic about that. I hope Chelsea get relegated. CPFC's full on donating. I appreciate the donations. I've already answered about Brentcastle, so I'm not going to talk any more about that. I'm talking about football. Wolves won 2-1, mate. Slabo winner. I actually put a bet the other day on Maguire to score as well. Maguire to score a header at any time, and he did, and I was gutted. But I do think that genuinely, what we're doing with Maguire is we're floating balls in. We're expecting him to win the first header, and obviously someone to get the second ball. It's not like we're actually trying to get Maguire to score, which I was hoping he was going to score an absolute bullet of a header, but we shall see. CPFC is obviously loaded. I appreciate your donations. Kyle says he's DM me about becoming a moderator. I'll definitely check that out at some point, Kyle. So, did you watch Rant's fan cam? Says Big Z. I didn't. No, I didn't watch his fan cam. I have seen some comments regarding Rio Ferdinand recently from Rant's. on my Twitter. I've been tagged in a few tweets regarding it, but I haven't really watched it yet, no. I will check it out, definitely. I know the atmosphere was fantastic, though, and everyone is buzzing. I am trying to get back at Old Trafford at some point. Obviously, I'm off on my holidays at the minute. I'm away next week, but I am going to get back to Old Trafford at some point. Let's just hope that we continue to get the positive results, definitely. So yeah, guys, every single Tuesday now I'm going to be doing a show like this where I'm literally going through and discussing all of the games, everything that has happened in every single game over the weekend, all of the big talking points, not all about United at all, it's about every single team and all the biggest topics, definitely. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Please make sure you are tuning in, definitely, because you can come and get involved in the chat, definitely, and give your feedback, because everyone at the end of the day has different opinions, and that's what this is all about. I'm not saying that I am right, or I'm not saying you are wrong. That's not what happens. We have our discussions, and that's the way it goes. This says beat Wolves, please. Trust me, I'm praying that we beat Wolves as well. Make sure you guys look out for the preview with my dad, which will be up this weekend. I'll be recording that very, very soon. And it should be an entertaining one. Like I say, he's already given it the big one. But let's hope Man United, they need to help me out this season, definitely, because I still can't get over last season, what happened at Molineux. Can't get over it, so hopefully we bounce back. My last thing, I'm going to drop a tweet out later on asking any of my followers or subscribers, of course, if they would be up for a game of FIFA. And all you need to do is send me your PSN name, like tag it in the tweet when I post it. And I'm going to be contacting a few of you regarding a new series that I'm doing when I'm playing against my subscribers on FIFA. They'll probably, every episode that I'll do, there'll probably be 3 games, so I'll choose 3 people. I am on PS4, so you need to be on PS4. But yeah, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put it out, and then you give me your PSN name, and then look out for a DM or a message, and I'll obviously message you and see if you're available on the day that I am doing the show. And that should be a really, really good series. Please don't batter me. Don't embarrass me on my own channel. I don't appreciate it. But yeah, cheers, guys. I appreciate your support as always. CPFC, a lot of donations. I appreciate it. But let's keep everything football related, please. That's all I ask. But thank you so much, guys. Like I said, keep an eye out for that tweet. So I want to get you all involved as well. That should be interesting. Saeed says he's ready, but he keeps dodging me. Saeed, definitely I want to play you because you've been dodging me for too long now. But it should be a good one. Take care, guys. Have a good evening. Cheers.